Theresa Irving is a retired Air Force veteran and serial entrepreneur. During her military career as a chaplain assistant, Teresa earned the Army Achievement Medal and multiple Iraq campaign medals for her deployments to Iraq and Southwest Asia. After service, Teresa channeled her grant-writing expertise into mission-driven roles, including Deputy Director of Programming at Warrior Rising, where she shaped veteran resilience programs, and Director of Development at Owners in Honor. In 2025, she founded Epic Military Brands, Two Sergeants LLC, a business development and strategic consulting firm dedicated to connecting veteran entrepreneurs, mission-aligned brands, and high-impact nonprofits. As co-owner of Duneberry Farms in Shelby, Michigan, Teresa introduced a disc golf tracking technology originally developed for defense applications. Her mission: bringing military-grade excellence to unexpected places, building stronger communities, and empowering veterans to lead in civilian spaces.
Welcome to the MilCom Founders Podcast, where we champion and celebrate military community business founders. In each episode, we will talk with a MilCom business founder to learn how they work through various obstacles and opportunities in business and in life. I'm your host, Rod Loches. Let's meet today's guest. Good morning, everyone. Today, we're fortunate to welcome Theresa Irving to the MilCom Founders Podcast, where we get to champion and celebrate another fantastic military community founder. Welcome to the show, Teresa. Tell us a story.
Good morning, Rod. How are you? My name is Theresa Irving. I am very excited to be here. I'm coming from Mears, Michigan, Oceana County, West Michigan. We're right along the lakeshore. And this is where I actually left in the service.
Wow.
I did not expect to ever come back here. My dad's the youngest out of 14, and I did not want to marry a cousin. I do remember in high school having a conversation with somebody whose date for prom was also at their family reunion. And so I said, not for me.
Oh my gosh.
So I never thought I was going to ever come back here. I live at the end of a dead end road growing up. So it's past the dead end sign. And I always told my parents I was going to go to England. I was going to go to Russia. I was going to go to all these things. And everybody thought I was crazy. And actually the Air Force did just that. My very first duty station was RAF Lakenheath.
Wow, very cool. And where was that in the Great Britain?
So it's right outside of Cambridge, about 20 minutes away from Cambridge. So I was in England for 9 years and I was in Japan for 5. Before I was 32, before I was 20, I saw 32 different countries.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I'm jumping so far ahead, but you went to, I think, Grand Valley State. Is that right?
Yes, I have gone to school there, and I'm going back to school right now for business. It's funny because a lot of people talk about their business degrees, and I tell them I have a degree in business, and they're like, really? Where'd you go? And I said, I bought a business. So I actually bought a restaurant and opened it 2 days after COVID. We have a lot to talk about.
Do you still have the restaurant?
No, I do not. So my restaurant, I bought it in 2019 in October and it was closed. So PPP money did not come for me. I opened it 2 days, the 31st of March, 2020. And I had a really good cry. I mean, I literally was actually expecting my 8th child. My husband did not know until May. We have her in August of that year. But all these things came together. I had exchange students in my home. I was renovating a restaurant. I opened it. COVID happened, and there was just never a good time to talk about our family planning or lack of. And what I did is I leveraged my military story. I remember Marcus Luttrell at an event talking about how hard it is in business, but nobody's shooting at you. And I was like, you know what? I have experienced real stress and trauma in my life, and I understand that what I'm going through can be overcame. So I had all these innovative ideas on how to run a restaurant while customers couldn't come in. So I had iPads outside of my restaurant. We became an A&W where people could drive up, they could put their order. My employees would go out there with masks and gloves and wipe everything down, bring out their food. And I really think what made my story a success was actually location. We talk about different reasons and reasons why to invest in a brick and mortar. And for me, my restaurant was in Silver Lake, Michigan, where over 1.6 million people visit annually, where people's second and third homes are. And so I also leveraged my military story on the radio, on TV. I have an incredible insurance provider, Michigan Farm Bureau, that actually bought 4,000 meals for people. So when they open back up, our restaurant that people could come in and enjoy a meal. Wow. So just an amazing opportunity. And I think that's what makes military entrepreneurs so unique as well. I think we've all been humbled because of our military experience that we're able to communicate problems early and develop relationships with other partners that can prove beneficial, not just to ourselves, the community, and the partner themselves.
Well, 1 second. You have 8 children?
I do. I have 5 sons and 3 daughters.
Okay.
I had 7 personally. I have 1 bonus son.
I love that. Did you know I call my brother a bonus son? Or brother, a bonus brother?
I did not.
Yeah. So you're the first person I've ever heard use that same term. And I love it. So Stephen, my bonus brother, went to this school called Grand Valley State. So yeah. So maybe it's something in the water there, huh?
It is awesome. Well, I think a lot of it is the terms that we put on ourselves subconsciously play into our mind. And I always want because he's my son from my husband, I always want him to know that he's a bonus in my life, and there's not a step up or step down of anything. Like, we're family.
Yeah.
And I'm really blessed.
I can't stand the term step. I fully agree with you. And, if you embrace somebody, they are your son, your daughter, your brother. And we're very blessed to have Stephen as part of our family. That's for sure. So he's one of 6 total. And there are 5, and then he's the bonus. So very, very, very fortunate. So did you say that your dad was one of 14?
Yes, my dad's the youngest out of 14. So my grandma had 14 children total, 7 girls and 7 boys.
Wow. So how old were you when you thought about joining the military? How did that come about?
I was 16 years old. My cousin across the street, Adam, went in and he actually built runways for the Air Force. And we got postcards from him going all over the world. I remember he helped build the Strip in Saudi Arabia and other places. And I knew then that I was going to be in the Air Force. In fact, I took the ASVAB twice because you had to score so high. I took it twice to be able to get into the delayed enlistment program early.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So you probably signed the papers before you were 18.
I did, yes. And my parents had to co-sign, and I went to all the trainings, which is a really funny story. So my TI taught me to say, "Sir" or "Ma'am, Airman Newell reports as ordered." That was ingrained in me. So when I got in front of somebody the first night, she let me say it like 6 times, "Sir" or "Ma'am." And she said, "Have you figured it out yet?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "If I'm a sir or a ma'am." I was so nervous. I said no, because I had no idea what she was asking me. Like, I was trained only to say that, right? And they called me Waterworks for 6 weeks because all these TIs just came at me. And it was just, it was not a good response. But I laugh at it because in my brain, I had burned every bridge from the small little town. I was never going to come back, and I was going to do or die. I was going to get through basic training and go experience all the things I had wanted to.
Wow.
And so, but it was so funny. Yeah. They called me Airman Waterworks because I was just crying.
So you said to her, "Sir" or "Ma'am"? That's what you said? And she came back and says, "Have you figured out?" So how many push-ups did you do because of that?
Oh my goodness. I think what they do is they want to break you down to build you up. And they did not realize that they had somebody that was extremely motivated, that wanted to be a part of the mission and want to be a part of the community early on.
Yeah. Well, Teresa, we share something in common. 7 weeks, I think it was, into basic training. Then we had AIT straight after that. But right towards the end of basic training, it's Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, hot as hell day. We're out there building the Bailey Bridge. I was a combat engineer, and Bailey bridges are no fun. They're very heavy, and it's 110-degree heat day. We had to keep whatever. So I'm sitting there, and I forget my rope, and because engineers got to know how to tie ropes. And I forgot my practice line, and the drill says, "Hey, who that rope is this?" Sitting in formation. Me. Who the F is me? So me, which is me, has to go to the front of the formation. The drill drops me, of course, instantly. He gets up. He says, give me your helmet. Takes my name off the back of my helmet, tape, and he writes me on the back of my helmet. And he says, take off your helmet. He writes me on my forehead. And then he writes me on my chest and on my back. And he's like, and who the F is me? And so for the next week, I was known as me to everyone. And I became me because everybody by the end almost had a nickname on the back of their helmet when they screwed up, you know. That was this guy's thing. And we were anyway, so it's just crazy. So I can completely relate to that. And we all have it. We all have those moments, you know. That's amazing. So one quick thing back to your family. What's the ages? What's the range?
27 to 5.
27 to 5. Okay. Wow.
I will be in high school without a break for over 20 years. For me or the teachers.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you knew what you wanted to do and join the Air Force. And what did you do in the Air Force?
So I started off as supply. I was in logistics for about 2.5 years. I really enjoyed that. I was in England. Amazing assignment for an 18-year-old person who discovered Ryanair early on and never stayed home if she didn't have to include the country. My mom would get postcards from like Paris and different things, and then she'd get a hold of me, and I was actually, in Ireland. It was so crazy. And I then retrained after I watched my supervisor. They were regionalizing in the 90s supply to Europe, but to Germany. And so we were in RAF Lakenheath. And so I said, man, I really want a career in the military. I love it, but I don't feel secure in this job. So I retrained and became a chaplain assistant.
Oh my, isn't that interesting? And so then
I love it.
As a chaplain's assistant, I came to faith maybe 10 years ago, and I just think that's amazing that you did that. And I'm just putting words in your mouth right now, but the comfort, the help, the security that you must have brought to all those airmen and airwomen, it's just got to be amazing.
So the truth about ministry, first of all, I got to serve my God and my country in that order, which I feel extremely grateful. And there are so many days of my career that I literally woke up and was like, I cannot believe somebody is paying me to do this. I cannot believe that somebody is paying me to be able to be a person of faith, to serve my country and to serve it overseas in the capacity that I was able to do that. Ministry, I think, is the dirtiest profession in any profession because people's lives are so messy.
Yeah.
They really are. The things that they do to each other, the personal damage that they do to themselves. It is horrifying a lot of times to hear what somebody has had to go through or what somebody's putting somebody other, through. And I think what really helped me in this journey through ministry is I had a chaplain, because I used to have people come into our office and then I would worry about them for the rest of the day, the rest of the month, the year, because I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But he said, Teresa, you can't worry about people more than they do about their own lives. And so they unload on you, right? And then they go out and they don't think about it anymore because they're on and they're growing and they're healing but they've left you with all that stuff. And so you have to love people where they're at, but then realize that it's their lives, it's their choices. And that really freed me because for a long time, man, when people would come in, I'm like, oh my goodness, I come from a big family, but a very loving family. I have a lot of support.
Wow.
And not everybody came through with that.
So how old were you when you became a chaplain's assistant, or what was it?
I retrained. So I came in 1997. I retrained right before September 11th, which is another interesting situation. So I literally came from England. I got my stuff dropped down at Scott Air Force Base. And then I went to Maxwell, received my training, came back. And then that year, September 11th happened. So I'm in Chapel 2 at Scott Air Force Base on the flight line, and I hear early in the morning about the towers, the planes going into the towers. And so I go to the main chapel where I find a TV set up, the chaplains, and we're starting the response because we have to do notifications. And even at Scott Air Force Base, we had over 70 in the community. So this incident is happening in New York, and very shortly we have an outcome of notifications that the chaplains have to make. One of the most profound things I'll never forget was one of the individuals at Scott Air Force Base. His dad worked in the Twin Towers, and he'll never see him again.
Yeah, God bless him. Until he goes to heaven.
And that's one of the hardest things, like I said, is just being with people on the worst days and dealing with a lot of, and we have a lot of great things in the chapel too. We have marriages, we have baptisms, we have blessings, and just really trying to encourage a group of individuals who really are set apart because they feel a calling, which is also, for me, it's spiritual, right? Being called by God, but you also answer your service, your military call. And so I've always been very blessed, I think, to have made the choice to switch. I love logistics. I thought it was great, but to then go into being a chaplain assistant, it was amazing.
Well, I applaud your efforts to do that. I took the ASVAB probably when I was 16, and I can't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast before or not, but it said I should be in the chaplain corps, and I was not a person of faith at the time. I was like, they got this wrong, and I didn't tell hardly anyone that for probably 40 years, and I was like, oh, that's just I can't do that, and later in life, I actually thought about rejoining the service as a chaplain, and it was different reasons I didn't go that way, but the chance to love and serve each other in the Lord, to champion, celebrate people such as yourself, are just such important things to me. So that's very, very cool. And thank you for sharing this. So, in the Air Force, you probably had some chances to watch great leadership. What does great leadership look like to you? Give me an instance, an example. What does that look like?
Well, we'll talk about the chapel corps again. So I think one of the reasons why I picked being a chaplain assistant is during basic training, those weeks in Texas, I actually saw a young captain, Dondi Costin, who would later become the chief of chaplains for the Air Force. He was a academy graduate.
Wow.
He would run for basic training PT fitness test with the trainees, and then he would go back and get somebody that was probably failing or was going to quit on themselves, and he would run. And so I would see the word chaplain on his back, and I was so impressed. And I was a good runner, but I was so impressed with the word. That's the first time I ever saw the word chaplain. I'm from a small little church. We always called them pastors. And I was like, man, what is this chaplain? And then on Sunday, I would see him from the pulpit. But before that Sunday sermon that he was in front of everyone, I would see him with a broom, making sure that the trainees had a clean spot. And he was always got this servant heart. He was always ready to serve others. And he would later on become one of the greatest. And I still think anybody who watches this and who knows him, Chaplain Costin, they'll be like, he is the Air Force chaplain. Unbelievable service to his country, to his family. And it was amazing to watch. And I think that's what leaders are. Leaders are people that have figured out how to serve others at a really strong level, that are great communicators, and who have earned the position from others to be able to have that position.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about things, and I think it's interesting. The Chapel Corps is going to do away with rank, which I think is amazing, because I think if you have to tell somebody your rank, you don't own it. If you have to tell somebody that you're an enlisted, sergeant, or you're an officer of a certain type, if you have to announce your rank, you haven't earned it with your peers of the individuals that you're speaking to.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, I did not know the Chaplain Corps was doing away with their rank. So,
yeah.
Wow.
It's really important as well. I think the Dutch have it right. They nailed it, where they actually, the person in the chaplain in the Dutch army, they take on the rank above the person they're talking to. So if they're talking to a major, then they become a lieutenant colonel. And the reason why is because we advise leadership. That's what we did in the Chapel Corps.
Got it. Very cool. Very cool. And so how do you go from being a chaplain's assistant to getting into business? How did that come about? That seems like a bit Air Force, then the chaplaincy, and now you're a business owner. How did that transition happen?
So it didn't happen quite like that. I literally came home. I took Terra. There was an administration decision back in 2014. to downsize the Air Force. They needed 28,000 people out. And so they said, hey, who wants to get out of the service? And they're going to take 1 point away. So I actually retired from the Air Force in 2014, taking Terra, not really having a retirement plan because I ended up 3 years early out. I was at RAF Crown. And so I decided to come home, and I kind of felt underemployed when I first got home. I took a government position like most of us tried to do. And I was a check-in clerk for the VA, which I absolutely loved. Healthcare is difficult. I loved the ministry part. I had an opportunity to work with the mental health side as well. And I received Woman of the Year for the VA for my vision, which was a really great honor to be able to connect veterans.
Thank you.
Who felt disconnected with their care to their doctor. Because I think of the VA care as sick care. It's gotten better in the last couple of years, but there's still a lot of challenges where I feel like the care was really designed just to keep people from getting back to these amazing lives that they should be able to lead after the service. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of reform has happened. But I had always wanted to buy a restaurant in Silver Lake, Michigan, which I ended up doing. I told you a little bit about that story. This business was available because the owner had passed away. So I'd worked for all 4 original owners of this restaurant, and I really understood the tourism industry in Silver Lake. And I told my husband I wanted to buy it. I couldn't get a loan for it if it's a closed restaurant that didn't have books. Most, they won't lend. But the spouse allowed me to do a land contract. And so I was able to land contract this property with her, which in Michigan was just an agreement between the owner and myself to buy it. She didn't make me put anything down, and she gave me the keys to renovate. And then you heard what happened, for that story. But what I didn't tell you was the success. So we actually ended up making $1 million our first year. We're only open 6 months out of the year as well. And that was customers that were supporting us in that business, which I've really felt grateful for. We were able to pay that restaurant off in 1.5 years. And I absolutely love the restaurant industry. My husband hates it. I had that 8th child, and 4 days later I was back in the restaurant. She was in my office, and I was running that restaurant because I really feel like I owed it to my employees. I had 43 employees with a lot of challenges during COVID.
What was the name of the restaurant?
Sands Restaurant in Silver Lake, Michigan.
Sands Restaurant. Okay. I'll ask my brother and sister-in-law about that later on this afternoon when I see them. Oh my gosh. Okay. And do you still have the restaurant?
So then, nope, I sold it about 2 years ago. And this is the other thing too. Please, business owners, always think about your exit strategy. So my husband would never tell me, Teresa, sell a restaurant. Never would. But what happened was he says, I really miss you, Teresa. We have a young child. We have children. We had 3 in college at the time and just a lot going on. He's like, I really miss you. So what I did is I sold the restaurant the way I bought the restaurant. It was a closed building. It wasn't an operating building at $1 million of revenue a year. So I put it up for more than what I thought, I would actually get because I didn't really want to sell it. But I was able to be successful and actually sell the restaurant with it being on the market for less than 7 months.
That's fantastic.
I actually was able to receive more than what I had offered, like what I had asked for it. My recommendation, though, for everyone is to build your business like you're ready to exit at any moment. There's a lot of strategy and decisions that need to be made, and that should be made in part of your business plan. It shouldn't just be to grow an incredible, business that you have paid off and you scale it, but you also need to have that moment of everything has a price tag. What is your price tag? And have yourself in a position, because even if you don't exit, then you have access to capital.
Teresa, you got to tell everybody that I did not pay you to say that. That is like a commercial for what we do. We always say begin with the end in mind and figure out what you want to do when you sell the business, and visualize what you're going to do after you sell the business. And we as business owners are so looking head down, getting stuff done, that we need to look up and out. And I think I might have shared with you before, we are in the midst of writing the Ready Founder. And the Ready Founder is to hopefully inspire and educate people to be ready for every opportunity in business and every obstacle you're going to face, because you'll face both. And if you're not ready, then things don't happen the way we want them to. And it's my belief that there's more capital available today than ever. The challenge is we as business owners often aren't ready. we're not capital ready. So there's so much capital available, but are you ready? Have you done the things you need to do to get ready for that capital? And the case is often, the answer is often no. They haven't done the things to get ready. And so you just shared a great insight for me in our business and what we do and how we help people. So thank you. So
I have more of the story.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so then let's talk about the exit. So I wasn't planning an exit, right? So I wasn't planning retirement. I fell into a mediocre job, decided to become an entrepreneur and buy a restaurant that I absolutely loved, that I knew the market. I decided that my husband, and it wasn't saving our marriage, but it was hearing the fact that I was in business with somebody who didn't like being a business owner in that profession, and understanding that I would much rather have my husband for the rest of my life than a business, even though they both make me happy. When I exited, because I hadn't planned on the exit, you put it up for sale, but you don't think anybody's ever going to buy it. I sat there at the end of the year with an $86,000 tax bill from Uncle Sam, and I still had done a 1031 as well. So I had a 1031 that I turned into 40 acres of land because I didn't know what to buy because I had no plan on buying something else. And I start the Duneberry Farms disc golf and pro shop, which I just paid off. That was a 5-year for my startup to pay off, which has been an amazing endeavor. And I'm working on an exit right now, which is a life-changing amount. She wants to turn it into a winery, resort, like distillery. So amazing opportunity there. But in fact, tomorrow I close on 10 acres and a house right over there to turn that property into 77 acres.
Wow, that's fantastic.
But what I'm saying to everybody about the exit is that if you don't have your end in mind, I call it stupid tax. I have paid, and then remember, I opened during COVID. I actually have made more mistakes from my exit and the opportunity for legacy and growth building than I ever did in business. And I was a restaurant with 43 employees that had money going out everywhere, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that's why you got to be ready, and you got to be thinking about those things before they happen. That's for sure. Before they happen, 100%. So you're getting ready to sell that property, and then you have Epic Military Brands.
I did. Yes, I started that in November.
Wait a minute, you just started that?
The Epic Military Brands, yeah. So before that, I had worked with Warrior Rising, which is a nonprofit that helps with scaling and growing veteran entrepreneur businesses. And then I also worked for Owners in Honor that help veterans buy pre-existing businesses. And I think out of working for both of those nonprofits, I decided to make a for-profit business that really helped leverage entrepreneurs with military experience to leverage their story because of what I experienced at the restaurant and also at the business.
Now, did you work for those two organizations, for Patrick Flood? And you work, and then you worked with Reggie Ordonez. And
actually, I worked with Jason Van Camp. Reggie took my position.
Oh, okay, got it, understood. Okay, and how do you have the time?
Well, I think one of the biggest things in the service, right, we learned, I would say there's not a single day in my life that I looked around to my left and my right and I ever heard somebody say, we're going to get rich doing this, right? We really did it for the person to the left and the right of us. And I was learning all these things that were positive and negative as I was falling forward and saying, you know what, I really wish somebody would have talked to me in this point and junction and said, hey, Teresa, you need to build in your exit strategy into your business plan. If you don't have that in, you're already running late. If you're not talking about projections for scale and growth and there's nothing measurable, you're not growing and scaling your businesses. You're fooling yourself.
That's right.
You may have a whole bunch more to do, but you're not doing the right things. And if I had just had a little bit more coaching, I think I would have felt a little more confident. What I do with the brands, and I manage 7 right now, I have relationships with them as we grow and scale their businesses, is having conversations with founders who know their lane better than anybody else, but just being able to reshape and ask the right questions internally and then producing their processes and systems to help them scale and grow.
Wow. So, Teresa, there's so many facets and so many different ways I can take this conversation. We could take this conversation, but what are 2 or 3 things that you learned in the military that have helped you succeed in business? What are those couple things that you go, you got to do this, and so if you could share with me a couple of those thoughts.
I think one of the biggest things and the service has taught me is that personal and professional growth. That's the number one. You could have a great business, but if you're not taking your time to grow yourself personally, your business is working you and you're not working your business. And so I think the foundation of how we set up of mental fitness, physical fitness, professional growth, reading books, interacting with others, all those things that we learned as a culture, I think exist and should still exist as a foundation for a healthy entrepreneur. And that's really what it's about. It's about having those healthy relationships around you. And you can't have them if the only thing that you're focusing on is this creation of your business. There's so many other facets of your life.
That's right.
Another one is communication is really important in business. And I learned that in my military service to be able to communicate those things, even if it's a mistake. In logistics, one of the funny stories I have is somebody ordered 100,000 forks. And I said, 100,000 forks? You want 100,000 forks? And they said, yes. Well, they wanted 100,000 forks total. I did 100,000 boxes because the communication I got was 100,000 forks. Well, the way that they're ordered is in boxes. I cleaned out all of England and a lot of Germany as they got forks and forks and forks. And so learning that, right? So, and I didn't get in trouble for that. Everybody thought it was really funny. It was somewhere right around April Fool's Day. So a lot of people got a kick out of it. But the communication was really key as a fundamental that I'm going to go back if I don't understand something and I'm going to clarify it because I don't have time to go back and fix it later. So my communication has to be spot on every time because as a business owner, I don't have the day and a half, 3 months, 7 months to fix the error, especially when I know I could spend 2 minutes or a half an hour on a virtual phone call and make that communication more clear for both of us.
Well, I call it positive confirmation. We always have to positively confirm what we think we heard because sometimes I positively confirm with a business partner, a client, or even my wife. And that's not what I said. I'm like, oh, what? And I wish I always remembered to positively confirm, but doing that really can really help us. That's for sure. So 100,000 forks. So how many forks did you get total?
Of boxes times 100.
Oh man. I'll do the math.
And normally that would be a career ender, but I was in England. I was young. A lot of people were like, you know what, Teresa, we'll use them. It's going to be fine. We'll distribute them to other places. It wasn't an issue. But I think that's the other thing too, is communicating when you make a mistake, whether it's missing a deadline or just really messing up, being able to be honest about it early on to allow your team to fix things definitely allows you that grace, but also builds, even if you make a mistake, trust with others. And the last thing I learned from the service was being able to befriend somebody early. We literally have to make a decision. You and I are going to be at this base for a year, 2 years, 4 years. We have to make a decision right now. Right. Are we going to be friends?
That's right. You know, it's funny because that was 10 million forks that you ended up bringing into your command. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I bet. Amazing. So tell me, Teresa, tell me about your current business endeavors. I mean, you're selling the one property, but you've got, what should we talk about? Epic Military Brands, because you're also doing the marketing consulting, I believe. So tell me.
I do. Yep. So a lot for what I'm really interested in sharing is just helping people understand and close the learning gap because we served our country in the service. And giving people the opportunity to learn those things that I've learned the hard way and having that gap shorter to be able to launch and be very successful early on, I think is something I really enjoy doing. I love marketing because I love telling the story, right? I love the introduction. If you can peel everything away about Theresa Irving, it's really the introduction and to help people be the best versions of themselves.
Amazing. So we met because you were helping a company with their marketing, and How's that going? You want to tell me about that company? And
it's going really, really well. So what you're talking and referring to is Victor and Valor, and Victor and Valor is a nonprofit that I'm on the board of. And what they do is they provide marketing until you make $1 million if you're a spouse, a veteran, or an active duty service member or family member, which is an incredible service that they offer. They offer website design, book publishing opportunities, press releases, and all kinds of just digital marketing assets.
Wow.
The founder is Allie Craig, and she has really just changed my life. I absolutely enjoy who this woman is and how she gives back to the military community in such a large way. The brand that we're talking about is Pulse Patch, which is an incredible piece of technology. The founders are both veterans, Jared and Richard.
Yeah.
And what this device is, once you are incarcerated and in handcuffs because you've made a decision that has put you there, the opportunity to deploy a device that would be put on your forehead to manage the vital signs, to be able to make sure that if there is an issue where you start to have difficulty with breathing or your heart rate, that would alert law enforcement to be able to give that just much needed CPR and different types of hopefully life-saving treatment.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing. And what happened is Jared and Richard had gone through an incubator program. I had worked with them as a coach. And they called me on the 31st of January and said, Teresa, we did a great job with fundraising. Now we want to take this to our goal, which is $1 million in fundraising. Can you help us? And I was so honored that they had reached out to me. I said, of course I want to do this with you guys. And one of the first recommendations I had for them was to fill out an application for the veteran Rice battle that happens in Houston at Rice University, which they did. And they just have taken off from there. So the opportunity to have the platform of consistent, solid marketing that was provided by Victor and Valor, and being who they are, incredible. They're still in law enforcement today. But when you get to meet the two founders, which you got to, they're just amazing guys that want to do great things.
Yeah, they are.
And they've taken off. I think they're already at close, and they called on the 31st of March. And what is today? August 5th.
That's fantastic. It's always great to see great people doing well. That's for sure. So tell me about...
It's that communication piece, right? It's being able to have those relationships and have those conversations. I think a lot of people are scared that if I'm honest about where I am in business, nobody's going to want to work with me. I don't see that, Rod. I think being able to communicate, this is where I want to go, this is the experience I have, and these are the needs I have, are what help successful entrepreneurs and set you apart from having a hobby or a lifestyle business to actually growing and scaling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my grandfather's uniform. Both my grandfathers pinned my bars on me when I became an officer. The flag is my father-in-law's dad's flag. He Naval Academy graduate way back in the day. But the challenge that so many business owners have is that level of trust. And what I've loved about reconnecting with the military community is the speed to trust, Teresa, is almost instant. Like you said, decide to make a friend. And in the military community, we've been so blessed to be able to go make that friend, go make that connection. And 99% of the time, that trust is going to be well cared for and developed and built on within our community, which is fantastic. So we're almost run out of time here, but tell me the story of Epic Military Brands. What are you doing with that endeavor?
What I'm doing is receiving the opportunity to talk to either the spouses or veterans who have a nonprofit or for-profit business who want to grow and scale. I really believe that you should be able to have an epic life in and out of uniform, and we're going to figure out a way to make that happen. One of the things that I do on my early on calls with people is I ask them what their 3 professional goals are and what their 3 personal goals are. And it really, your business model needs to align to you personally for everything else to go. Because if you're not aligned, you could have one of the best businesses and it's going to make you miserable because it's not fitting your goals. You're trying to fit into your business.
Absolutely. So Teresa, what's a question I haven't asked you yet that I should have asked you? You're like, Rod, why haven't you asked me this yet? What's that question?
No, I've had a lot of fun just talking to you today, Rod. I think it's amazing for people to hear other stories that they can relate to and also learn from. I would love to know just a little bit about your story about how you started with your endeavor, because you do a lot of great things for people and you also have an amazing network. So, how did you build it and start it?
Thank you for asking. I think what I would say is that One Degree, our company, One Degree Financial, is built around the belief that life is about 1 degree relationships. How do you find them, get them, and build them? So I think that's number one. The second thing is Teresa, 8 or 9 years ago, I went and taught a class about finance to a group of veteran entrepreneurs. And Teresa, when I was done teaching that class, I felt like I was home. I was like, I'd forgotten about being a veteran for 30 years. I don't know, maybe longer. But when I got back around you amazing women and men that have served our country, I was like, why have I not engaged in this community before? Why did I just forget about it? And getting involved with a community, our community, has really, I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of fun. It's helped hold me to a higher standard. I've gotten in better shape because I was like, why are these young veterans going to listen to me? And since then, I just hiked 15 miles, went up the top of the highest mountain in the UK. It's all kinds of crazy stuff I can do now that 5 years ago just wasn't possible. But that's because of reconnecting with the veteran community that's been so fantastic. And I've got 11 out of 14 aunts and uncles that have big Catholic family that have owned, and both my grandparents, they all owned their own businesses. So I love what I do, which is serving, we provide financial leadership to fast growth tech founders. A lot of them happen to be veterans because I love working with serving them. But how this all happened was when I had my tech business, I got so frustrated with every professional, every tax person, every CPA, every X, Y, and Z, because they'd say, well, your taxes are done or your P&L's done. And I would be like, yes, but what does it mean? What do I do? How do I act on it? And so much what we do today is we operate CFO as a team type services, and we help them by teaching, coaching, collaborating with the founder, and yes, challenging the founder, because that's what it takes. That's what financial leadership is about. And we use the heck out of AI, but it's the leadership that makes the difference, and it's the team that makes the difference, and it's the experience that we have in technology that also helps make the difference. But that's who we are and who we love to serve, and it's been great. And people go, Rod, when are you gonna sell the business? Well, I know what I'll do after I sell the business, which is continue to serve our community, teach, coach, collaborate, and challenge them. But I think I've got 5 more years that I want to do this and continue to build it and help more people exit. Like we helped 2 people exit their businesses late last year for 55 and 275 million. We want to continue to do that. That's what we want to continue to do. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
And it's legacy changing if there's a foundation of understanding on how to exit. Unless you're like myself, who just got out of business and then I was faltering and I really paid financially for a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Like I said, I exited way worse than I ran a business.
Yes. The exit, if you don't plan for your exit, it's going to happen to you instead of for you. And you'll leave a lot of money on the table. You'll leave a lot of heartache for yourself, your partners, your team members, all your stakeholders. And you got to plan for that beforehand. That's for sure. So, Teresa, one last question. What is a resource or 2 that our listeners should consider reading, listening to? I mean, besides our podcast, right? But what do you suggest that people listen, do, absorb? What's that resource or 2?
I think what they do is they sit down with a piece of paper and write down what their goals are. And then from that, find resources for what those goals or objectives are for themselves personally and professionally, and plug into that military network that we have. We have thousands and thousands of nonprofits and other organizations in the community, whether it's SOAR for a mentor, ACP, which will get a high level C-suite executive to be able to be a mentor for you. And think about that personal and professional development that we talked about earlier in the call, and find those relationships and people. Nobody knows your business better than you do, but to have a soundboard of somebody that's already gone through what you've gone through and is 3 to 5 years ahead of you in that journey, and really get that feedback, whether it's every other month or once every 6 months, but just get a check-in with a community, because I think entrepreneurs are very isolated and alone, and it's really unfortunate because you don't have to be with the resources that are available to us. IVMF, Warrior Rising, Veep. I could go on about these amazing resources. I just mentioned the Rice Veteran Business Battle. And all these opportunities come, whether they're virtual, whether they're in person, whether they're subsidized, whether you have to pay for your travel and then everything else is provided for you. But they're amazing community and organizations that have been built to be able to serve as you grow and scale your business. And then we have amazing just mental health check-ins for people as well. We have the VA resources, and then we have other nonprofits that can help you if maybe you just don't feel like the VA healthcare is there for you. But having healthy people talk to other people, whether it's, groups or sessions, I think it's really important that we're able to unload and free our hearts to be able to have more opportunity to feel great stuff with
build the community. Absolutely. Hey, Teresa, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to champion and celebrate you as a military community founder today. And we're going to do that by donating $100 to our military community scholarship. It's named in honor of both my grandpas and Dick Logis and Jerry Bettinger. That's my other grandfather, who was also in the military, and we're going to add him to the name going forward because he was so special in my life too. And I quite frankly need to share more beauty and warmth about his story too. So thank you so much for being part of this today. Thanks for joining us on the MilCom Founders Podcast. If you know a MilCom founder with a story to share, reach out to us at milcomfounders.com. For each guest on our show, One Degree Financial donates $100 to the Dick Logis Veteran Entrepreneur Scholarship Fund, supporting education for children of a MilCom business owner. Stay ready.